Hi folks, it is Hobby Nightmares time. Welcome to Friday. It is the end of your week. Congratulations. And if it's not the end of your week, then don't worry. We are all with you over the weekend thinking about you. Thank you for keeping the world spinning around. If you like what I do, head on over to Composite Games and get yourself 5% off at checkout for any models that you need using the promo code Northern Exile down below. And if you really like what I do, subscribe to the channel. And if you really, really like what I do, head over to Patreon and get me a beer or something. It's always appreciated. And you get to send me in questions for the Q&A, which should be either Sunday or Tuesday. We'll see. Anyway, let's do some Hobby Nightmares, shall we? Because there is one of these that I have read cover to cover, and it is extremely important that I have something to say about it. And the other one I have skimmed, and does seem pretty interesting as well. So, let's jump in. Black Armchair says, "Hi North, long-time listener and fan of the channel here. Good on you, man. Thank you very much. I've been in the hobby with the same large group of guys for almost 15 years now." Okay. So I've mastered quite a few good stories. The particular nightmare I wanted to share with you is about a guy who used to frequent my friendly local game store. We'll call him Dave. Okay, if your name is David, I'm very sorry. For your example names in future, can we just change them up to like James or Tom or anything? Just let's give Dave. I've noticed in my mailbag that I've skimmed a few of them. I've got like 5 Dave stories to read out. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Dave was a herald of Nurgle. Dave very rarely, if ever, showered. Dave didn't wear deodorant. Dave did wash his clothes, but he then left them in a damp pile and did not dry them because he always smelled like a caustic combination of mildew and... the writing of some of these is really... it just tickles me, I don't know why. I don't know why. Of mildew and ass. Dave also had very underdeveloped social skills. Okay, I think we're seeing a pattern here. You know, poor guy's probably, either slightly autistic, in which we'll give him a free pass, you know what I mean? Like this guy needs some help. Or he's just, hasn't really developed that many skills in terms of being social. He wasn't mean or creepy in any way, but he would follow people around the store, asking them questions about what minis to buy or what cards he should include in his Magic the Gathering decks, whether or not the person knew or cared about the game. He would never take a hint to leave people alone, and would drone on until the person either explicitly told him to stop talking to them, or, and I've seen this happen, physically left the store to get away from him. Jeez. If you're the manager, you have to just... This is one of those situations where you just take the young lad aside and say, "Listen, man, time's come to stop doing that. It's a bit weird, Do you need some help? I can help you. Why don't you come to me? You jump on the grenade. Why don't you come to me and I'll sort you out," sort of a thing, On one occasion, Dave followed me out to my car whilst talking about his Magic the Gathering deck. Oh my god. I say all this not to make Dave out to be a bad guy or make fun of him. He was a sweet kid, and in many ways he kinda became the shop's little brother. Dave annoyed us, and while we did pick on him in a good-natured way, we never allowed outsiders to mistreat him, which happened occasionally. Well, that doesn't automatically make you good guys. You're not allowed to torture him. We're allowed to torture him. Don't you leave him alone, right? He's our torturee, right? You don't get to, anyway, just kidding. Well, about 2 years ago, on a sunny Saturday afternoon, I was at the store gaming when Dave walked in with a basket of fries. Chips, for those of you in the UK. Yeah, we know what fries are. Don't belittle us. We know what fries are. Cheeky bugger. From a deli down the street. We know what a deli is as well. We don't know what toothbrushes are, but we know what delis are. Anyway, he saw me and wandered over to spectate my game. I kept my gaze on the table, partially because I was really focused on the game, and partially in hopes that it might prevent Dave from interrupting. Dave is mercifully quiet at first, content to watch and eat his fries. Then I hear an abrupt crunch from Dave's mouth, a significantly sharper and grittier crunch than is normally caused by fries. At first I thought Dave had eaten one of the overcooked bits from the bottom of the bag. I looked up to see, and, to my horror, I saw Dave open his mouth to reveal one of his front teeth had split in half, vertically. Oh my god. Now, I had an unrestricted internet connection in the early 2000s. I have seen some stuff and don't get grossed out easily, but I have a real issue with things involving teeth. My stomach turned at the sight of Dave's injury, but the worst was yet to come. Oh, this is the part I skimmed up to, because I was like, oh, this will be a good one. Oh no. Dave, seemingly more curious than hurt, chuckled a little and reached into his mouth to see what had happened. When his fingers reached the remainder of his tooth, he squeezed and poked at it until a little, only to find the shards were loose. I watched in horror as Dave grabbed the stubs between his two fingers and began to pull. It was all in slow motion to me. My opponent and I both shouted at Dave to stop. Sorry, that was me. That's me. It's not your WhatsApp. We both shouted at him to stop, but we were too late. He had given himself an impromptu dental surgery right over the table and was dripping blood and other mystery liquids into his fries. Oh my God. Oh. Some of y'all are, you make this job difficult at times with what you send in. What was worse, he didn't seem the least bit concerned or even in much pain. He simply held the stub up a few inches from his face and said, "Huh." He refused the paper towel I offered him to clean the blood from his face, despite the entire store urging him. He declined to call the emergency dentist, instead saying, "I'll just call him on Monday," and continued to eat his bloody fries whilst holding half a tooth in his other hand. Dude. The manager had to temporarily close the store to clean the blood, biohazard and all that, yeah, and asked Dave to go home and clean up. Instead, Dave continued to talk to my opponent and I about his Magic the Gathering deck the entire time we waited in the parking lot for the store to reopen. Dave still came around regularly for a few months more after this, but eventually moved across town. As far as I'm aware, he's still minus the tooth. Oh. Dude, if you're the manager and he doesn't leave to go home, you shouldn't let him back in the store if he's caused a biohazard in the store. Now, for those of you who don't know, the reason why it's a biohazard and you have to close the store, even if somebody has a nosebleed, is things like hepatitis, AIDS, all these other blood diseases that can get involved if somebody touches it or gets it on them or, God forbid, ingests it. I don't know why, but you never know, right? You never know. So to avoid being sued, you need to close the store to clean things up and to disinfect things. But oh my God. I want to just cleanse my brain and move on to the next one because, oh dear, that was horrible. There's certain stories that you read that happened because the details are too... You can almost sense this guy's trauma. Do you know what I mean? This black armchair, you can almost sense his trauma. Anyway. Uncle Scandalous says, "Hey North. Firstly, this one is a bit difficult to talk about, as it deals with some real negative energy coming my way, and I need some help with it. Starting from the top, I'm an average-looking guy in my mind, and I've been told I'm decent-looking before. This will come up later. Okay, as long as you're not told by your mum, that doesn't count. It doesn't count. I've been into 40k through starting with Warhammer Fantasy Battles when I was 19. Ever since laying my eyes on an Eldar army, my heart was set on getting them and never stopping, and so I switched from Warhammer Fantasy Battles to 40k pretty early on. My current force is close to 10,000 points on average, which I'm very proud of. All of my own heavily Japanese-laden craft world, really leaning into the Aspect Warriors. Safe to say, I love 40k. Good man, and I like the sound of your army too. My store is in my local town here in the US. A wonderful place of daring do. Full of decent folks, and whilst we have neckbeards, they are generally harmless and stand-up dudes who want to help those they can when they can. I have a bit of a rep in there as King of the Normies, quote-unquote. in that I look like I can blend in with the average crowd, and a lot of the time I take folks in there who are interested in 40k because of how I talk about it. That is such a thing that I also wanted to talk about. Like, if you are kind of normal in the way that you look and the way that you act and the way that you have a normal life, you are our representative to everybody else. You are the person who goes out there and talks about how cool our hobby is, and you are the person who brings in people to the hobby. Never lose that. It's amazing. It's awesome. Anyway, I've even brought in girls I'm dating to show them what I am into, and here is the thing. If I'm honestly excited about it and passionate, they don't think it's weird. I noticed that if I embraced it, they were all for it. The minute I felt ashamed of it in any way, that's when they started to see the weirdness of the hobby. And let's face it, it can be pretty weird at times. That is also true. That is also incredibly true. So, I could elaborate and add to that, but it has actually been said in the story. So, yeah, if you are embracing of the 40k hobby and all of the passion that you put into it, women won't just think that that's not weird. That's attractive. That's attractive. You are into a creative hobby that you're really passionate about, that really brings out how intelligent and how artistically talented you are in painting and writing stories and coming up with good army lists and things like that, right? There is a very good reason why folks who are into the lore, and I'm going to generalize here, so please, but of the guys that I know, the ones who are into the lore and painting and chilling out and talking about stories and reading books, they're the ones with the girlfriends. I know. Don't stone me, please. But those are the ones with the girlfriends, those are the ones with the well-adjusted friends, those are the ones who get other people into the hobby, those are the ones. The guys who are into the game only and obsess about the current meta and who talk in jargon all the time, those are the guys who are single and who obsess over women and who, you know, tend to push people away from the hobby and make people think that it's weird, right? And then we have the guys who are a bit of both. And that is 99% of people in the hobby, I think, are into a bit of both. You know, they love the lore and they love the game, and that's that kind of thing. And good on you if you're that kind of a person. But that's just a trend that I see in my own friend group. In that, you know, I've got you know, dozens of friends through YouTube and wherever who are into different parts of the hobby, and that's where they tend to gravitate. And if you are honestly passionate about this hobby in an artistic, creative, cool way that lets you make and train skills, people find that attractive. People find that honestly attractive. And don't be ashamed of it. Even if you are into the games, don't be ashamed of it. Embrace it. Because as long as you're embracing it and you're positive about it and you can show that you're good at something, people like it. People are like, oh, well, gee, that's your thing. Cool. That's attractive. Listen, men aren't into the same things that women are into. Okay? A man may be turned off by if a woman's into a weird hobby, maybe. I don't know. You know? But, like, I've never seen a woman who likes a guy be turned off by one of his hobbies, as long as his hobbies isn't, like, you know, something really creepy. You know? If his hobby's hentai, then yeah, she's going to be turned off. But if it's something like Warhammer, nah, man. I've never seen that before. I've never seen it before. I've seen it happen when he's been really weird and awkward and ashamed of it, yes. Because it gives her permission to be ashamed of it with you. Moving on. 1 second. Sorry about that. For a few years, up until this story, I'd had a bit of a dry spell when it came to women. My last relationship had kicked my ass a bit, and so I took a break from dating to get my head together. Unfortunately, that break turned into 3 years of nothing. Absolutely nothing. No interest, nothing. Okay? Even when I came back to the dating game, I found that I was just not the same guy I had been, and things, as you might expect, didn't help my confidence when I kept finding constant failure. Yeah, understandable. So, I retreated into my hobby, and instead of being something that was in my life, it became my life. I'd finish work and paint, look over lore books, chill watching battle reports, go on Reddit and talk about it, organise games. Whilst at the start this was great, Soon my temper would get worse with people. I stopped enjoying the hobby for the sheer enjoyment of it. I felt I had to win games to make my time investment worth it. It was like I had some kind of buyer's remorse about the time I'd already spent to get better and paint better. It was toxic and turned inwards. Wow, man, that is a... I've never seen the vicious cycle of obsession about a hobby given credence in such a really cool sentence and paragraph. You have talent as a writer, if nothing else, man. That was really well put. That is a really good description of what it's like when your hobby starts to become toxic. That's really cool. So whilst at the start it was great, let's read that again. Soon my temper would get worse with people. I stopped enjoying the hobby for the sheer enjoyment of it. I felt I had to win games to make my time investment worth it. Like I had some kind of buyer's remorse about the time I had already spent to get better and paint better. It was toxic and turned inwards. Man, I know people, you can say that about video games, you know, competitiveness, 40k, Magic the Gathering, even D&D. I've seen people in D&D be like that, right? You know, if there isn't a really big story beat happening in every session, we've wasted our time, you know, because we should feel bad about spending time doing this. That's what happens when you have nothing else going on in your life but your hobby. It's natural, it will happen, and that's why people tend to think that geeks are toxic when they get obsessed with things. Because generally, they're right. It's not a nice thing, but generally they're quite right. They're quite, you know, it is a toxic thing. But most of the time, it's turned inwards. The only problem with that is, once it's turned inwards, it only takes a little bit of prodding for it to explode outwards as well. Then one day, in the store, Claire came in. Claire was pretty, into Imperial Guard, kind of an emo, but not over the top about it. I looked at her from across the store and caught her eye, and a few days later, with her coming in, we would end up talking. I was talking to her about her hobby and trying to steer the conversation in a flirty way. Oh no. Saying things like, "Oh, I bet you do things like this, haha," and "Oh, I'm sure you do, haha." Oh no. Oh, I'm getting like a creeping feeling up my spine, and I'm not even being hit on. And generally ribbing her in a good-natured but overly flirty way. It didn't work. Okay, yeah, no shit, man. No shit. Yeah. I'm going to save this to the end, but I will weigh in on this a bit later. She was always kind to me, but I always got the feeling there was a wall between my feelings and her. It was weird. Okay, this I'm going to call out. That's not a toxic thing to say. It's a thing that every man needs to understand, right? Please, if you're listening to this, listen, and you think you may get something out of it, listen closely. All right? Women don't owe you their affection or their time. All right? Now, any of you who know my channel know I'm not a feminist. Any of you who know my channel know I'm into bro code. I'm into omerta, right? I will always fight for a man's right to be a man. And to and to be able to go out and pull a woman, right? That's your prerogative. That's what you're meant to do on this earth, right? You're meant to go out there and procreate. I will never, ever try and take that away from you. But, women do not owe you interest. Or anything, really, you know? Stuff like this, let's read that again. She was always kind to me, but I always got the feeling there was a wall between my feelings and her. It was weird. Now, dude, that wall is called being normal, right? That wall is her not being interested in you romantically. The fact that you say there's a wall there, like it shouldn't be there, no, it should be there, because she's not interested in you romantically. That's normal. Just deal with it. Move on. The fact that you're seeing that wall means that you're approaching this in entirely the wrong way. Entirely the wrong way. And the fact that you say it was weird, also, that's leaning into more of a toxic area, right? We're now leaning into that more toxic... Why is it weird that this woman doesn't find you attractive or want to be with you romantically, right? I think you've... There's been a Freudian slip there. We've let slip a little bit of the ego from the mind, and you're like, ugh, and it's come out a little bit, right? Now, I'm on your side. I am on your side. I want to build you up here and help you, but we need to recognise what that is. Right? That wall is there for a reason. It's there because she's normal with you, she's not interested in you romantically, and she doesn't owe you any of that interest. Okay? Right. I'm going to tell you later on how to get that interest without forcing it, which is what you're trying to do here. But I will read on from now. Anyway, as the weeks went on, we ended up playing a game together, and I continued with my jokes and just trying to get a rise out of her in any way that I could. Oh my god, the poor girl must be exhausted. I kind of forgot about the game and went into it just wanting to talk. Again, dude. Again. No. No. You're there to play games. You're there to play 40k. So is she. Right? No. Alright. I then slipped up. Dude, I think you've slipped up a few times up until now. As Claire leant over the table, I put my hands in front of my eyes and said, "Whoa! Nearly got an eyeful there. Be careful." Oh my god. I felt wrong just saying that. Dude, if I was dating a woman, I wouldn't say that. It's cringe. But I will get into it later. But, like, she looked up, not amused. Yeah, no shit, man. She walked around the table and said quietly, "Listen, do you mind not making flirty comments and things like that? I just want to play the game and you're making me feel a bit uncomfortable." Dude, fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair cop. Yeah, sure, I said. I was crushed. I know, man. I know. It's. I'm being harsh on certain parts. You've had a dry spell. You've lost that reflexive muscle on dealing with the opposite sex, and it happens. And I'm really sorry. And that must have felt really bad. That must have felt really bad. Like, I'm with you. Sorry about that, man. Yeah, that sucks. I got on with the game as best I could, good lad. And after I finished it, I shook her hand, good lad. Focusing on doing what I needed to do to get out of there with my dignity. Top man. Exactly what you should do. Since this time, it has gone around the store that I liked her and she shot me down, which is even worse. I don't think she said anything, but that people overheard the exchange between us. Going back in there has been really hard, as people have long memories of this kind of thing. Yeah, they do, unfortunately, yes. You are, like, literally one failed pull away from being the creep. Anyway, fast forward to the present day, there is another girl in the store, Amanda. This is a recurring pattern with you, dude, isn't it? This time, when I speak to her, she actively seems to give flirty vibes, rather than me giving them. How do I ask her to go out for a date without the entire place thinking I'm some sort of lecher? What am I doing wrong? Lecher, that's a good word. What am I doing wrong? This was a hobby nightmare I never want to go through again. So, how do I avoid it? Scan. So, first of all, mate, taking it away from this girl, from this new girl, Amanda, I was going to tell you what you should have done in the first place. Go to a hobby store to engage in the hobby. Don't go to the hobby store to engage with women. Now, if you are charming and happy and cool to be around, you dress nicely, you smell nice, you look good, even if you're ugly and you look good and you groom and you take care of yourself, it doesn't matter. If people want to be around you and you're having fun, people will instantly find you attractive. It doesn't matter what you look like. And this is the thing that I hate, when guys say, "I'm too ugly to go and pull. It's okay for you to say this, you look okay, blah, blah, blah." That's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. I've seen some right scroungers pull very good-looking women in my time. And I've gone, how the fuck are they doing that? They're doing that because they dress nicely, appropriately, right, for their size and their weight, and whatever their body type is. They shower, they shave, they self-groom, right? They self-police themselves, so they're going around talking, they're confident in their own skin, in their own personality, and they want people to be around them. People are around them because they find them fun. As soon as you do those things, you are an instant 7 out of 10. You're an instant 7 out of 10. As long as you don't look like fucking Quasimodo, you're an instant 7 out of 10 with any woman out there at all. Because you're having a good time, other people look like they want to be around you, you're well groomed, you take care of yourself, you look like you can handle your shit, you look like you can take care of her, you can handle your business, you can handle what you're doing. Automatically, you're a 7 out of 10. Right? Everything else from now on is a bonus. Now, if you go up and open your mouth and talk some rubbish that doesn't actually make any sense, then yeah, that number may come down a little bit. But you are going to start out at a 7, and that is so, so, so important. And it's also important why I say Normally, try not to drink when you're going out to meet people. Alright? Have a little tipple. But the more you drink, the more those skills will evaporate. Okay? Go into a hobby area wanting to play the hobby and meet friends. If you see someone in there who is good looking that you're interested in, then play a game with them and focus on the game and making sure that they have a good time playing that game. Make sure that when you're playing an attractive woman in 40k, that she is having a blast. Don't suck up to her. Don't do anything that you wouldn't normally do, but go out of your way to make sure she's having a good game. You're throwing in a few jokes here and there. And if you're already a 7 out of 10 and you're doing all that stuff, you are a catch, motherfucker. That's what you are. You're a catch. And if she's single, 9 times out of 10, she'll at least find you a little bit attractive. You know? Alright, that's one thing. That's how you generate interest. Now, even then, not every woman will be interested in you doing that. Some women just won't be interested in you at all. Some women will not be wanting to date right now. That's fine. That's their prerogative. Leave it and walk away. Walk away. Make sure she had fun. Shake her hand. Do exactly what you did there. Shake her hand. Smile. Hey, I hope you had fun. Maybe we'll do it again sometime. You know? Cool. And then go back to what you were doing. But if you're getting interest, and a lot of you will be getting interest if you try this, that's the time to say, hey, do you want to go grab a coffee after we leave? You know? And especially if she beat you, say, hey, do you mind going for a coffee and explaining to me how the hell you did that? Just shit like that. Just talk some shit and you'll be fine, right? That's the way to do it. What you did there was what every desperate guy does, what every single desperate guy does, is that you make these lame jokes, these lame statements, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why? Because you're obviously treating her in a different way to how you treat everybody else. Women pick up on that from several rooms away, and it doesn't work, dude. It doesn't work. Fucking Henry Cavill could not pull doing what you did there. Don't get me wrong, he could pull a few scroungers, right? He could pull a few women who, you know, aren't of good standard, morally or otherwise. Don't get me wrong, right? Because men and women some of them are of that standard. But a good-looking woman of quality is not going to react to any guy acting the way you acted. You could look like Henry Cavill, it wouldn't make a difference. That's why I say, when people say to me, I'm too ugly for, I stop them and I say, mate, fucking Charlton Heston or whatever couldn't pull the way you're acting. You're not putting yourself on the batter's mound properly. You're not doing it. Alright, moving on from that. With this girl Amanda, what are you going to do? Do exactly what I've just said. Exactly what I've just said. Forget dating Amanda. Right? Spend time with Amanda. Play games with Amanda. Paint with Amanda. Talk to Amanda. Right? Don't make overly flirty comments and jokes. Treat her like you would treat anybody else, and a game is the best way to do it. Play a game with her. Make sure she's having an amazing time, right? Crack jokes about your own army. Crack jokes about whatever you need to do, right? But don't make these lame statements to her. Don't try and be overly flirty. Don't try and push it. Just be you. You know when people say that to you, just be yourself. As I've said before, 90% of the just be yourself stuff is told to you by women, and women don't know how to pull other women. As I've said before, that's like you wanting to know how to catch a salmon and going up to a salmon and asking it how to catch a salmon. You don't ask a salmon, you ask a fucking bear, which is why you've come to the channel, I suppose. So thank you very much for at least coming and realising that you've done something wrong. Best thing to do, play 40k with her, right? Play whatever game you can with her. Make sure she has a great time. And what's more, make sure you're having a great time. Make sure you're fun to be around. Once you've done that, if the interest is there, like you've said, she will already be interested in you after this. And then be honest about it. Say, hey, that was fun. Do you want to grab a coffee when we get out of here later on? When the store closes or whatever? No, dude, I swear to God, if this is anywhere near what you say it is with this Amanda chick, you'll be fine. You're golden. You're golden. Just play a game with her. Make sure she has a good time. Don't try too hard to flirt with her. Don't flirt at all. Don't flirt at all. Just treat her like one of the dudes. And a cool one at that. And I swear to God, you go in there well-groomed, looking nice, you know, ready to go, nicely shaved, you know, or if your beard's well kept, you're looking great. You go in, you're invited to play a game of 40k, you both have an amazing time, and she's already been giving you a bit of the flirtation, and then you ask her to go for a coffee. I don't know of a woman who's going to say no if she's single. I don't. Unless she doesn't want to seem like an easy lay in the store, but I honestly don't. I don't see her saying no. Just try that. See if it works. See if it works. Anyway, love you all long time. That was one of those stories that I just think people needed to hear. Because it wasn't a one with a happy ending. It was one of the ones that I read and thought, hey man, this really sucked. You can tell this person's hurting. And sometimes we need that on the channel. We need a bit of balance. So hopefully you found something cool in there as well. I love you all long time. Enjoy your hobby. Enjoy your weekend. I may be on Sunday for some more Q&As. We'll see how busy the weekend is. Love you all long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll speak to you later. Have a fantastic one. See ya.